everybody, I'm Eddie V and welcome to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to be talking about Freightliner dealerships. Guys, if you own a Freightliner or go to Freightliner, beware. Especially if you own a Freightliner Cascadia with a DD15. Just beware of Freightliners. Now, I know there's going to be probably comments in my video saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. Dealerships are always dealership and all scams. Yes, I know that. I know they're always expensive. So before I get to the part of what you guys got to watch out for, I'm going to tell you the story that I feel sorry, even though I'm a company driver. I don't get paid by mile. I get paid like almost like an owner-operator. I get a percentage of the load, which is 30%. But even though I don't own the equipment, I still feel sorry for the person that does own the equipment, because I want to save the company I'm working for money as well. That way I get better paid loads, I get bonuses or whatnot, and you know, I'm a good driver, and that I take care of the equipment, and that I also know my prices, that I know when there is like a kind of a rip-off or a scam going on. So yesterday I was in Wisconsin picking up a load. I just finished picking up near Milwaukee, and I started heading towards Salt Lake City. About 30 minutes into my drive, I get a check engine light on the truck, and it's the one to your left by the RPM gauge. So it's not a big deal, but on these newer trucks, what I don't like about the newer trucks is that depending what it is, it could still derate you, and you'll be stuck at 5 miles an hour sooner or later, or have loss of power, which will cause you to go about 40 miles an hour on the highway because you cannot pull the load because you don't have any horsepower. It'll probably cut off the turbo or something. Basically, so I got the check engine light. I pulled over, and I know Wisconsin pretty well. I pulled over. It was country. I pulled over on an on-ramp. I ran through every single diagnostics on the Freightliner, because especially the 2019 Freightliner, it's very easy. For every computer control module, you can pull out small codes. Sometimes you cannot pull out the code. You still need to go to a dealer or a shop where they have they plug into where the ELD plugs in, and they'll check for codes while you have a check engine light. But on this one, I was able to pull out a code, took a picture of it, sent it to my boss, and I also checked my coolant levels, my oil levels, and checked everything around the truck to make sure it wasn't some electrical or mechanical related issue. And I can always tell if it's mechanical because it'll make a sound, so I make sure there ain't no abnormal sounds and there's no power loss. So I didn't have none of that. So took a picture of the code. I sat at the Love's truck stop that I pulled in for a little bit so that the boss can tell me where to go. And we found out that it is either a knock sensor.
1.25 miles. Take the exit on the right to I-80 West toward Council Bluffs.
Or basically, it was either a knock sensor or emission related by DEF, DF or the SCR. So with that being said, according to the forum, that where we pulled out this code, you will get derated to 5 miles an hour or loss of power sooner or later. So what I ended up doing, guys, or what he ended up doing, he's like, start heading towards Iowa 80. From that point in Wisconsin, I was about 2 hours away. I started heading to Iowa 80. He then sent me an address. He's like, go to a truck stop in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So now instead of a 2-hour drive, it turns into a 3-hour drive to the dealership. Now hold on, I'll be back. I'm going to pause because this GPS
in either of the two right lanes.
Is saying
then
this.
Take the exit to I-80 West.
Sorry about that, guys. I hope you understand the point of the story. Just give me a second here. I gotta, before the GPS says another weird thing. Okay, we're good. Hopefully. Well, anyway, so we went to this Freightliner, and it wasn't the best Freightliner. I'm going to actually put a Google Maps of the name of the Freightliner that we went to. But anyway, so the good part about that Freightliner, they had truck parking, so I pulled in there at night because I didn't want to stop somewhere at night and then come to the dealership because I don't know how long I will last at full power and not being derated to 5 miles an hour. So in the morning, I woke up around 7:30ish, even though they open up at 7, and I went to the service desk and told them my boss called, like, that I'll be coming.
Continue on I-80.
That you guys could take me in. Can you please take care of this check engine light that I got, and also take care of the inverter. We also had an inverter that was messing up. Basically, what the inverter was doing was, if we plug in the microwave, it would completely shut off. We plug in the refrigerator, it would be telling me that I have low voltage coming out of the battery. Well, let's just say when we got to the dealership, they're like, yeah, we'll take care of you. Bobtail, when I parked the trailer, park right here. You can go in the waiting area and wait. We waited, even though they told us they'll start working on it right away. According to my research, or not research, to the time we waited about 3 to 4 hours until they just got to our truck, even though they said they'll get there right away. And then they took all the way until pretty much closing time to finish the job. Okay, so the emissions or the check engine light was covered under warranty of the truck, because this is a 2019 truck and it still has warranty. And they fixed the inverter. Here's where the dealerships are a scam. They're coming in. Okay, they fixed the check engine light, but the inverter becomes a scam. Okay, inverter costs to put in an inverter in the truck costs anywhere from $500 to $900 altogether. There's only a positive and a negative wire running to the inverter through a hole in the floorboard. The bill for fixing wires on the inverter was $714 for 2.7 hours. What the crazy part about it is they charge $180 an hour. So when I calculated it for my boss, it was only, I think, $486. Something like that. They came up with some price. It was $185 an hour, $190. They came up with some weird little discount because it was almost $200 an hour at that Freightliner. And basically, that bill of $714 did not make any sense for 2.7 hours, because when I did my math, it should have came out $486 without tax. And the guy at the service desk was like, oh, that's with tax. And I'm like, that makes no sense. So my boss was pretty smart about it. Still did negotiate it down to $597, which is still a bit high. You see where I'm getting, guys? That all it did was they found where what could have been a fire, it melted away something there. That's what it was causing the inverter to be messing up, and just cleaned everything up and retightened it. And they charged that much, which should have took only 1 hour to do. So that's where the first part of the scam comes. So they fixed the check engine light, and we negotiated the price for the inverter. We got to the truck, I hooked up to the trailer, and almost every single day, I always try to do a pre-trip. I start walking around the truck, I turn on all my lights, and next thing I know, the headlights are completely not working. The clearance lights on the truck and the trailer lights and the tail lights of the trailer and tractor are all working, but the headlights, the turn signals, and the headlights low and high beam absolutely do not work. So I told them, hey, we need to fix this. And it was right about closing time. I was like, we came in here, the lights were working. We coming out, the lights are not working. So they plugged in their dumb computer again and the computer is saying that everything is working, but technically it's not, because the actual signal is working, but the lights aren't. So they checked all the fuses. Now, keep in mind, before I brought the truck back in order for them to check the headlights, I checked all the fuses with my fuse tester, and every single one of the fuse was working. So they replaced 2 fuses to get the headlights back working. Apparently what happened was when they were fixing the inverter, I'm guessing something happened to where it sent electricity, and basically it burnt out 2 fuses. Now keep in mind, those 2 fuses on the test light were still working. All that happened was they kind of got melted a little bit. So the metal contact was still there, but because according to the mechanic they said they melted a little, that's why it wasn't working. So here comes a serious scam part that I'm going to talk about. Not only the prices, the overpriced prices they charge. They replaced the fuses. I went down the road, and keep in mind, this is the country roads of Iowa yet. I'm not in the freeway. I get down the road, and the truck is limited to 70 miles an hour. I'm driving, and I'm kind of confused why I can't go any faster. I look on my dash, and I am limited now to 68 miles an hour. Luckily, sometimes, for whatever reason, if I mash the gas, I can still do 69. But if I want to be on cruise for good, I can only go 68. This is where the scam comes in. It's your equipment. Why do you have a right to touch somebody else's computer on a truck and change the settings? That's what I just don't get. And basically what that tells you is that they want you to come back to make more money off of you in order to change the computer. That's what they want to do. So basically I am limited to 68, 69 miles an hour, which it will get fixed back to 70. But here's another part of my story. I have a friend who is an owner-operator and owns a 2019 Freightliner Cascadia with a DD15. He went and did some service done at Freightliner, warranty service. Next thing you know, he finds a problem. They change the setting. What they did was, on these Freightliners, when you are idling, you can bump your cruise, your idle cruise up, so your RPMs are idling higher. Well, here's the problem. He went to start driving, and usually when you set your idle higher on the RPMs, all you got to do is push on the brakes or clutch if it's a manual transmission, and the cruise will drop to regular idle. Well, when he pushed on the brakes, that did not happen. It was still idling. So basically, in order for him to cancel the cruise, you have to literally push on the cancel cruise button on your steering wheel. So they changed the settings about that. And basically, that concludes to me that if you take your Freightliner to a Freightliner dealership, they will purposely change something in order for you to come back on the computer. Something that's not going to really affect you in terms of something's broken down, but something that's going to make you come back so you can get those settings changed. So what I recommend, guys, is when you go to a Freightliner dealership, make sure it's still open when you leave, because you may be coming back to get those settings fixed that they changed without permission. And in my case, this is a Saturday. When I left, they were already closed. There's no point in me waiting a weekend. We're just gonna have to fix the settings at a different dealership, and hopefully do it for free because of that. But always make sure the dealership is open when you leave the dealership. That way, if you do have a problem, you can return the truck and get it fixed if they change some kind of settings. And another scam I noticed about dealerships, why I think the fixing the inverter was so high in price, was this. They did warranty work to the truck, which means Freightliner's not getting paid, but the employees are. You know what that means? That means if they're working something that's not warranty, they're gonna charge a lot more than just working regular. Just my thoughts. So guys, if you own a Freightliner and you go to a Freightliner dealership, please be aware of these rip-offs that these dealerships may do. Know exactly what you do. Get a detailed work order of what they did before paying any amount, and try to always be more on the nicer side and negotiate with them, because they always will try to rip you off. Alright guys, I know this was a long video, but hopefully you found it useful, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Guys, I'm Eddie B. 2064
Turn right on
this particular package. Driving a temp in the 6 Series.